This week on Taste Utah, there's a cup of Joe, and then there's a cup of coffee from John PK. And if you've ever visited Caffe de Bola in Salt Lake City, believe me, you know the difference. We're at a one-of-a-kind, unconventional, and completely intentional coffee shop in downtown Salt Lake City, where the ambition is not for you to just have a cup of coffee, but to experience it like you would a 6-course dinner prepared by a master chef. If mastery is intentionally practicing a skill 10,000 times, then John has mastered the alchemy of coffee. In his intimate shop, he's curating an experience for his guests unlike any in the world. He encourages you to sit and stay a while, to savor and connect with your cup of coffee. Think about the farmers who produced it, the climate the beans were grown in, the flavors, the textures, the aromas that all paint your palate as you drink it. Behind every good food story is a great people story. Taste Utah brings you the faces behind our local flavors, from soil and seeds to the variety of our authentically Utah restaurants. The views along the way, they're not bad either. Food is a necessity. It's how we create it, craft it, and experience it together that truly connects Utah's restaurant community. The secret to our sauce is simple. It's our farmers, artisans, chefs, restaurateurs, and hospitality professionals that make Utah a dining destination. You always have a seat at this table. We're in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm taking you to Caffe de Bola this week, where we're gonna learn about all things coffee. John, owner, operator, master roaster, master brewer, is actually going to educate us on all the finer nuances of why this coffee experience is unlike any in the world. We have an international known coffee roasting celebrity, and we're about to learn all of the fun nuances about roasting coffee. Hi, John.
Hey, Katy.
How are you?
Good.
Oh my gosh, so I've talked you up real big to the audience. They're excited to learn all about coffee today, and I know I've come to the right place.
Awesome. Do you want to take a seat?
Yeah, I would love to. We can talk about roasting just a little bit, because I imagine that's where it all starts, right?
That's where everything starts, with the roasting. I work with a handful of really good specialty brokers. You know, they've been doing it from anywhere from 25 to 70 years.
And when you say brokers, you mean people that supply?
They source all the coffees directly from the farmers. So I'm tiny. You know, this is us here. So they're sourcing everything directly based on the quality. For me, I think about end user. So I brew, I drink, I taste, because that's how you're going to experience it. So the coffees that have lots of complexity, they have a lot of range with what you can do with them.
Oh, very cool. So you're actually manipulating the roasting process to give us a different experience every single time.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So when people come to Caffe de Bola, what kind of experience can they expect?
We tend to trend smaller and blacker, so more straight espresso, Americanos, cortados. And then the only brewed coffee we do is by the cup here on the siphon.
Okay, and we'll get into siphon a little bit later, because that's quite a process.
Yeah, it is a thing.
And so if people want quick, delicious coffee, then espresso's the way to go.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
So this is called a VersaLab.
Okay.
They're actually made in New Mexico, and it's both a conical and a flat burr grinder. So inside of 64 millimeters of grinding space, there's 95 millimeters of grinding path. The whole beans go into the conical, where they're broken down into smaller pieces, and they go into the flat, where they're finished off with precision. So each set is doing what each set does best, and you get a better outcome than you would with any other grinder. Based on doing that particular espresso before, I like to look at flow rate. Really is the main indicator. And if it's within the parameters that I expect, then I'm good to go.
Beautiful.
Well, so for the espresso, you want to think about water first.
Okay.
And only first, so as a palate cleanser. The water that we served is actually the same water that I'm brewing with, so it preps your palate for the espresso.
Okay.
Then you want to think about beginning, middle, end.
So water first.
Yeah.
And would you say the whole thing?
Whatever you need to
Kind of
cleanse your palate.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. It's really nice.
So for what we're doing, you can have multiple flavors every sip. Each is going to be a little bit different. It should have a nice silky texture, but all those flavors are things that occur in nature. So whether it's something like you have orange peel, cinnamon stick, grapefruit, almond skin, plum, those things are bitter notes, but you're crafting a dish and they're hints of that thing. There's not bitterness to espresso.
Yeah, it's not like a burnt. Sometimes
Yeah.
I think espresso can taste burnt.
Yeah.
And that just means you've probably over roasted the beans?
Yes, that's exactly what it means. Well, there's the quiz now.
Yeah, okay.
So what did you get?
There's almost like a brightness to me, like if I were to chew on a lemon rind or something.
Yes, yeah.
This is probably one of the most balanced espressos I've ever had, where everything's working in harmony. Nothing's like fighting against each other.
Yeah.
Should we try the other one just to compare them side by side?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, not
Yeah.
necessarily side by side, but before,
Yeah.
before and after.
This is called a Spirit. It's from a Dutch designer named Kees van der Westen.
Okay.
So he's from the Netherlands, and then he hand builds his machines. Everything is really designed to create a delicious espresso, and I really like what he does because his solutions tend to be elegant and mechanical first, and then he uses technology to sort of back that up. And then the reason he calls it the Spirit is because it's sort of designed to be reminiscent of the cockpit of the Spirit of St. Louis, so it looks like an airplane.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's
why
very
the dials and
ergonomic,
that-
yeah.
Before he started doing espresso machines, he did custom motorcycles. So he likes fast shapes, as he calls them.
Yeah.
This a gram range on the cups that I like best for certain espressos.
I love it. So you're measuring the cup and then you'll measure the espresso that's...
And these ones, the cups that I use are very specific. On these, once you get into a complex espresso, you want wider and shallower because it creates that best balance. But it also is about the curvature of the cup as well. So it can't just be about length, or it can't just be about height and width. It has to have the right curvature to it. And these ones come from a small place outside the Black Forest in Germany from a porcelain maker named Arsberg.
Wow, okay, and so this is all authentic porcelain that we're drinking out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so there's a young producer named Galo Morales in Ecuador. That's where this is from.
Okay.
And Ecuador is not really known for great coffee. It is now because of him.
Wow,
Yeah.
so he's setting the mark for
Pretty much,
Ecuadorian
yeah.
coffee.
He's won like best of competitions at Farm's been first, and then in the top 3 several times over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So this has just this really silky texture to it and this undertone of sweetness, and you're getting everything from cherry and honey to a little hints of chocolate mousse. There might be little hints of coconut, floral notes, a little hibiscus, maybe even star anise. So it's got this
The star anise, yeah, for sure.
this complicated and complex range of flavors. So it takes you through this journey, in the cup, and it's the thing that stands out most to me is just that texture that it has. You're getting this extra silky, unctuous texture.
And I do right away taste the cacao, like the chocolate.
Yeah. It's a texture with that cacao that creates this mousse-like. So it's this deep chocolate, but this sort of airy silkiness in there.
The experience of enjoying coffee is what you're calling people into, not just drinking coffee for the utility of a caffeine hit and out the door.
Exactly, yeah. Coffee is not meant, or espresso is not meant as a caffeine delivery system. It's culinary. if you're sourcing and roasting your coffee, single origins, with care, 3 times more complexity than wine. But overall, there's much more good wine than there is good coffee. It's very, very hard to do. And so if you think about, well, how do you create those, complexities that are more complex than the wine is, and it really goes back to that roasting that we talked about.
There's a beautiful art and science crafted into every single sip of an espresso or ounce of siphon brew that John Piquet offers during a tasting experience at Caffe de Bola. What's a siphon brew, you ask? Well, pull up a seat, my friends. We're about to find out.
So tell us a little bit about the siphon experience, because it's a contract between you and whoever comes in to truly enjoy the coffee to its fullest. So you have to agree to sit here for some time, right?
You want about an hour. Most people take longer. Siphon is the best method for brewing coffee, just based on the science. Done properly, it will extract more flavors and aromatics and nuances than any other brewing method. So you're looking at 30 to 40 minutes on average to go through the cup after you start drinking. Mm-hmm. You're wanting to go from hot to warm to cool. That's where all those different flavors, textures, aromatics are going to come out. Without those temperature changes, those different flavors and that will never exist.
Yeah.
So it is about taking that time, and you sort of want a third of the cup to be below your body temperature.
Okay. You typically offer 3 different beans for the
in fact, this is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
And you should just choose based on tasting notes. They're all really good, but usually what I tell people is you want to think about what seems least like coffee to you first, and then you want to layer on, do you like those flavors?
Okay. The thing that I like about the menu, John, is that there's so many different offerings, so I can kind of choose to my profile as well, and even there's a lot about the farms, so like 168 women-owned farms, that even though it's $19 in the lowest tier, that interests me because I want to support that kind of endeavor,
It's an awesome. This is one that it would be middle tier.
Okay.
With the exception of the other one just cost me more.
Yeah.
So it's one that punches well above its weight. And prior to this, did for a full week as espresso as well. That just kind of sold out, and so I have it now as siphon.
This is an experience, so you're paying for an experience, and you're paying for all of the steps along the way. There really is no other coffee shop in the state of Utah doing that, and I would say probably very few coffee experiences in the world where that's happening.
Well, so we're one of one. So what I do across the board, this is the only place in the world that you can experience this sort of thing.
It's so cool.
So the maniacal level of detail that I have, there really isn't anyone that's doing this. This all started in the 1830s in Berlin. So before Germany was even a country. So it was still Prussia back then.
Wow.
And then it sort of became popular in London, and then came over here to the States in 1918. It was fairly popular, so a lot of people started using these at homes, and it spread out through the US. Really wasn't used much commercially at all.
Yeah.
From what I understand, a small number of places in New York, like you're talking like maybe 3. So you always want to dose your coffees by weight, never by volume, because different coffees are going to have different densities. And then we spent a lot of time in Japan studying the siphon, so I'm just going to do a slightly modified Japanese version.
Okay.
I'm going to grind very fine, just a tiny bit coarser than espresso. It's going to create a lot more surface area. This way we can extract flavors and aromatics much more immediately and then bring them directly to the cup. So as I seal this, it's gonna start to create vapor pressure.
Okay.
And it's gonna actually draw all the liquid up to the top chamber. It's actually pulling it up. Even though it looks to us like it's pushing it up, if you understand basic physics, it's pulling it up. So pressure differential. If I keep the top relatively even through most of the ascension of the water, then it's more even underneath and creates a better extraction.
Beautiful.
So the constant pressure from underneath creates continuous particle agitation. So it helps release all those flavors and aromatics much faster and directly into the coffee. This air gap here between the heat source and the coffee, so there, means that this will never reach boiling.
Okay, up top.
Yeah, so you can always maintain your perfect brewing temperature. And it's the only brewing method that allows you to do that. Every other brewing method, declining temperature profile, or a rising erratic one if using a traditional Turkish method, but they're all losing flavors because of that.
Okay.
So even though this process is very short, because of the physics of what happens and our understanding and ability to control it, we can extract more flavors.
So you're optimizing the extraction.
And we are done here. Yeah. So
Okay,
as this cools, it's gonna create a natural vacuum. It's gonna suck everything back down to the bottom. Filter it up top, so it's gonna keep all those grounds out and makes a very clean cup. It's pulling all the coffee through those grounds again, so you're gonna get a more complete extraction. And this nice little dome that's forming here is a sign of an even extraction on your drawdown.
And now again, the cup selection is everything, right?
I choose a cup based on the coffee. Coffee first, person second, and then maybe seasonality or order being served. For this coffee, I really like this cup. You always want to preheat. If you pour directly into a cold cup, kind of shocks the coffee a little bit, creates some bitter metallic elements. So this is just about making that temperature transition as smooth as possible.
Cool. Beautiful.
So this is where all the time comes in. You want to give this about 8 or 9 minutes before you think about drinking anything.
Okay.
Mostly so don't burn your face off.
Yeah.
We're brewing just below 200 degrees Fahrenheit, but the first point where flavors can actually dominate the heat is until 155 and below.
Okay.
Closer it gets to your body temperature, the more you can taste those flavors.
Okay.
So it's that transition from hot to warm to cool. So I think that, there's a finite number of sips you're gonna get out of the cup. My job is to place you in the area we're gonna get the most out of the coffee. And through my thousands of cups of testing, the best time is 8 to 10 minutes depending on the coffee.
All right, so I think I'm gonna take my first sip. Is that
Awesome.
okay? All right,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah.
Awesome. I taste a lot of milk chocolate on this.
Yeah, it's indicative of that specific coffee and that specific roast, So it's and also the temperature that you had it at.
Yeah, absolutely. You are coffee first. You're not necessarily coffee only, but coffee, very high quality of tea, and then your wife makes pastry for the shop so that you can have something to snack on if you want.
She makes what we call them their nami pan, which in Japanese translates to wave bread. So if you look at the top of the pastry, looks like a Japanese wave.
Yeah.
And she invented those, so this is really the only place in the world that you can get them. Today we have it's butter and strawberry with a light strawberry glaze on the outside, and then our signature one that we do is azuki, which is Japanese red bean, azuki butter, a little of a specific Taiwanese sugar, and then with a light azuki glaze. And that's a sort of perfect balance between sweet and savory.
You have a menu. You don't really deviate from that menu at all. You're very meticulous in how you want to help cultivate and advance that culinary experience.
A lot of people worked very hard for me to have the opportunity to use this coffee. It's my job to preserve all those best things they've created and enhance that, and then then share that with you.
I love that, and because you're a master, you know how to offer it to us in a way where we can experience it optimally. We might not know that because our education with a cup of coffee, I mean, it's the same with food, it's the same with good beverage, is limited. And so, you know, we can only experience things in life to the level we allow ourselves to. So when I come to you and say, you know, John, I want to experience this optimally, you say, yeah, I'm a steward of the product and I believe in all of the attention to detail that I've crafted. It's not smoke and mirrors, it's not branding or marketing.
Yeah.
It really is, let's connect. Let me introduce you to something that these farmers and artisans, you know, halfway around the world are producing for you. And then they hand it to me and they trust me that I'm going to take such good care of it. And then I'm going to take care of you as my customer. And that's sort of the experience that you have here.
Yes.
The one thing I just want to say, John, is what you're doing is exceptional. And the level of intention is so cool. But I think what's really, really so special is the level of care. Because if you didn't care, it wouldn't be this beautiful experience that it is. And so from all of the people of Utah, I just want to say thank you and invite as many people down here as possible who really want to know and have these informative, elevated experiences and really know where their food, beverage, artisans are sourcing their products from and how to engage in a really conscious way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I'll finish the last of this and then I'll be out of your way.
Yeah. So you get how the flavors change as you've gone through the cup?
Yeah, I mean, it really has. And I think what's really special is to be able to tell all of that and that the cup tells a story. And you sit here and you honor the story. You honor the effort.